Mills and mean froze. And I don't mean nose, no fashion, just army action. Click clacking and bitch slapping all the assassins of the king in his dream. Cause where's the brother man now? Click clack loud, there's another man down. But yo, rappers is regulated by my style. If time is money, I gotta buy right now. It's time to get money and numbers I might dial to appropriately fit the butterfly lifestyle.
Memes like respect, like that's mad funny. Every time I see it, I'm gonna laugh. I'm about to laugh now, you know, like it's funny, but to, like you're saying, letting those things prevail over the narratives of like what's actually in the music or what these people are doing, what they're contributing, that's a problem, and the audience will take what we provide, you know, and I think that's just as important to, like you said, find people that live the culture, like people that actually go outside, people that go to shows. If you can't go to shows, you're ripping apart lyrics, you know, you're delving into every aspect of it that you can and letting them tell stories and empowering them and not just pushing celeb gossip to the top because it's going to get clicks, or if you do that to get an audience, bring them in and then show them the real. There's definitely a responsibility on us as in the position that we're in, thought leaders, all you guys, you know, like what you share is what your friends see. And I got one friend that just sends me like the raw stories about everything all the time, and so we ended up creating a group chat around that, and I already know it's a source to go. That guy really needs a job in the space that we're in, you know? And then you know the group chats where it's just memes, you know? And I feel like what we can't allow the narrative in hip-hop journalism is, like you said, for it to become just memes, to become just this like weird surface level of like just whimsical nonsense that, again, is mad funny.
So how do you make an article?
We made a whole documentary on the Jordan memes, so I mean, and that was great, and that did amazing for us. But yeah, like you said, like it could be funny, and it is funny, and there's obviously a space for all that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, we have to be able to make sure that it doesn't get diluted to the point where there's no alternative for that. Yeah. You know, like you got to be able to not just, you know, get the clicks and get the laughs and get the shares and all that type of stuff, but we have to do our due diligence to be able to, you know, do what we were raised on, which is, you know, enhance people's listening experience. And it goes far beyond just like mindlessly nodding your head to a song. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I want to know, okay, this rappers now are just so layered, especially when it comes to, you know, rapper beefs. Like there's so many little sneak disses and subliminals and little things.
You don't need to see it though.
And they don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just sitting there just nodding their head to like Western Road flows and just think it's a nice smooth little song, but don't know how many layers are in that song and why, you know, somebody would react to it. People don't know why Joe Budden sent 3 disc records to Drake and it's like, oh, why are you talking about Drake? You gotta listen. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of places where you can go and see, well, I can see where he's probably talking about, or I could see where, you know, somebody could take that as an insult or something like that, or, you know, and the reason why, you know, and I hate to use him as an example, but the reason why people look at Joe and think Joe is crazy is not on him, not for nothing. I'm not even a huge Joe Budden fan like that, but
I'm a super Joe Budden fan.
Well, you're
from Jersey.
But like, I'm not a huge Joe Budden fan like that, but it's like, it's on us as consumers, as listeners. Like, we're not, I'm not saying everybody, but like in general, we're not great listeners anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, hit songs or hit melodies. We're not listening to a lot of songs because somebody had a hot bar or a hot lyric. Like, people like Young Thug because Young Thug sounds like a musical instrument. I can't tell you a word he's ever said, but he sounds like an ocarina when he starts rapping sometimes. I think it's dope. Same reason why, like, you know, a lot of these guys on, you know, the freshman cover got that cover. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't a whole lot of rappers. They just sound good.
Some of those rappers were terrible.
They were terrible.
Mostly.
Y'all let Lil Dicky get in there and wash these things.
They were hyping each other up, though. I saw fucking terrible. It was like,
DJ Drama said, like, I didn't pick any of these beats.
And I think that brings up a point too, is that like holding artists in the art form accountable too. I mean, there's a place for everybody too, but I think now the culture, there's so much fandom, and people talk about that a lot, like being friends with artists and not like wanting to keep it real and say, yo, it's trash, like it's really trash. right? Because again, it's not about being right? It's about like, I'm just telling you how I feel, supported by this evidence, A, B, and C. I couldn't understand 5 words you said in that whole cipher. A freestyle is actually a consistent body of lyrics that rhyme, not like a couple puns and a additive. Like, but you know what I'm saying? As people
I
who
mean, like, y'all watch us, you know what I mean? Like, they watch our Twitters, they watch, you know, what we say, they watch who we're moving with. And like you said, it's almost more responsibility to keep it 100. And, you know, to the artist, to the audience, just, it's like, if that was your friend, you won't let your friend come out of the house looking crazy, you know? You shouldn't. So it's like, you
You're a
know,
bad friend.
yeah, and it's the same with the audience, you know? It's like, sometimes you just gotta tell, I'll get in long Twitter rants with the audience, you know? When someone's like, well, this is hot because blah, 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 they bring up sales. I'm like, man, those are not determining factors. Those are like quantifiable metrics. Like, that doesn't make the song dope. You have to challenge the audience the same way you need to keep it 100 with the artist. It's like, the cool thing about hip hop is that the barriers are so low, right? Like, anyone can contribute to, like, you guys can go home, write a song, not even write a song, you guys can go home, make a song today. Yo, it could pop. You could pop by 10 p.m. It's that crazy, you know?
About how do you as an independent magazine now? In a time where magazines are just dead, nobody's paying a double XL, they're being discontinued, what made you make the decision to put out a magazine without no ads and funding behind it?
Well, half of that is, I want to say, just being fortunate to being backed by somebody like Steve Stout, who believes in, you know, sustaining something as viable as print publication as I do. And the other half is, you know, a lot of people don't really put a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of magazines are trash. Like,
Part of it's like the people that are in it now, right? Like, the longer we stay, just the looser we get, you know? Like, I'm a different journalist than I was 2 years ago. Different, I don't even know, journalist, media, personality, whatever. I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago. And I'm more comfortable. So, like, I'm a little more loose with it now, and I'm a little more honest with it now. And I think that's the strength of trying to build a community and build a career for yourself. And I think, more importantly, the audience is really tired. Like, you know when someone lies to you, you can't tell exactly what the lie is, but you know they're lying? Like, it's just like that human, like,
it's like an inauthenticity.
yeah, you're like, yo, you're a liar. And, yeah, like, and I feel like that is being translated even more so with more video properties where you can actually see the human. Also, our stake in digital, we spend so much time there that we're starting to relearn the space and bring our human traits to the space. So you can see when people are BSing you, and you can see when people are being shook. And I think that that's starting to go by the way. And also, the trend is, you know, we all follow one another. So when that one outlet jumps out and keeps it 100, other outlets see it, and then they follow it, and that becomes a new standard. So it's really like, who's doing it? Who's going to do it, you know?
And I think, to add to that, I think we're part of maybe like the first or second generation of, I guess, journalists that can't really hide. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, back in the day, you could write a review about an album that you heard 3 months ago, wait for it to come out to print, and then, you know, by the time that comes out, you either got to write a letter and hope that letter gets printed in the magazine, and that's what happens. Like, no, now it's like, okay, Super Q's album came out last week, you know what I'm saying? We had our initial thoughts about it, you let it sit for a while, then you get your actual review out for about it. And not only could fans respond to you, but the artists themselves could respond to you. And they know what you look like, and they can find you today. Exactly, it's like he's going today. So it's like, you know, it's you have to keep it authentic. You have to. Because not only are you can't hide anymore, but the consumer is more savvier than ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can find you. They can talk to you directly. They can troll you all day in their mentions if you were wrong about something or right about something. You know, so you have no choice but to keep it authentic if you want to stay relevant, if you want to stay, you know, successful or become successful.
Because for a while people thought, oh, being a writer and all that is, you can't really make a living doing that. You can't really do a lot of things doing that. And I think now it's going to get to a point where it's like, no, you can enterprise in a way you've never enterprised before. You can accumulate wealth. You can really make a living in a lot of different ways, and that perspective can translate to TV, to digital, to all these different things, just by staying true to yourself and having an authentic perspective about things. Like, you don't have to write about what's popular to actually get value out of that. And I think the more those two things start to intersect in like the next 5 years within that time period, you're gonna see like a lot more prominent voices on a lot more platforms. You're gonna see more of an emphasis on people caring about the culture, and like that's gonna be the thing. Like, okay, I can't step out here and have a point of view if I haven't checked myself first.
Yeah.
And because you're gonna have people like that to check people.
Yeah, I mean, like, to add to that, like, I guess what we're trying to say to everybody who either wants to be a journalist or wants to get in this space is that, like, don't be afraid to speak your mind, but at the same time, make sure you got a rap sheet to back that up.
So it's on y'all.
Like,
Start vetting the people that you get your information from. Stop bigging up liars. Stop bigging up people that you know are just in it for the flash. Like, stop, like, we always say, like, we just give you guys, but like I said, it's harmony, right? Like, we're all in it. Like, that's on y'all. Like, so Good Morning America puts out a piece and it's like factually or culturally wrong. Like, that's on y'all. Don't just tweet at them. Like, stop looking at them for your hip hop news. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not to point them out. I mean, if you guys are in here, sorry. But it's like, you know, or, you know, maybe not as sorry, but, you know, like.
I don't be sorry.
Yeah, like, you know.
So, yeah, point you out. Don't be sorry.
But honestly, man, it's on y'all to like start to like vet your sources, man, and that's in hip hop culture in general. Like, start bigging up folks and putting them into a spotlight and getting upset when they disappoint you. Like, yo, just be honest with yourself and think about who you're following, where you're getting your information from, who you value in this space, because whoever you value, they will get pushed to the top, and they will dictate the direction of it, and you can get let off a cliff.
And I think authenticity too brings out certain nuances that only that level of authenticity can do. You know, whether it's, you know, speaking about a certain artist you always listen to, so you have a real authentic like perspective on what that artist can do, or if there's certain experiences you've had, so when you speak about it, it comes just with so much history behind it that it's gonna open up a way of thinking or a point of view that somebody may never know. Like, when they read your stuff, it's like, yo, I never even thought about that, or I didn't even know like that existed. So I think like that being authentic too opens up what I was speaking about earlier in terms of showing different levels of value to the culture, right? In a way that only somebody who authentically lives that can do. You know, and I know for like myself, when you talk about being at Forbes, I've had so many people since I started my column like almost 2 years ago. Like, I remember writing a piece about Kendrick's album and how it changed like advertising and proved something like that could be profitable, and people were like, whoa, like, you know, on Forbes, like what? You know, like just that, because they read it and they see, no, like, he definitely knows like he's music and Kendrick, but he's also talking about how much money is being spent and the dynamics and the inner workings of that, authentically showing the connection of the two. And for a lot of people, they never think about that. Like, they just hear the album or they see the business. They never marry each other.
Rappers, you know,
got all the drops on us now.
yeah, like Kanye, Drake, Rihanna, you know, it's like they're gonna be on these big platforms
You're even
now.
seeing like Mashable and TechCrunch now covering hip hop.
One culture. They're,
How do y'all feel about that though? When that come from the culture coming and jump in.
you know what? Here's my thing, because I like what he talked about living the culture. I think there's residents and I think there's tourists, and we can't bar people like in New York. A lot of you guys live here. There's also some people here that aren't from here. The people that aren't from here are not allowed here. You know what I mean? You should. It's New York City. You're American. Whatever. Like, it's the world. You should be able to go where you want to go. So you have just as much place here. But for the people that are of it, it's our responsibility to do the right thing. So if the tourist comes here and leaves trash everywhere, they're tourists. You know, the behavior's bad, but it's up to us to clean our city. And I think when you find these other outlets that are coming into the space, what was it the other day they called? They like put T.I.'s photo up and called them Trey Songz. Somehow they did that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was in Chicago or something. And
But like they do it all the time, or the time they confused like Will.i.am with Wale and Wyclef, and I mean, granted, super funny, but you know, but also like that's their mistake, and we have to be very aware of those mistakes, not necessarily to bury them, but instead to come correct.
I mean, let's just be honest too. Like, hip hop is now a corporate culture with a global price tag. It's as simple as that. You know, when brands became the new record labels and advertising became the new music business, everything changed. Digital media changed everything. Artists now have to, for the sustainability of their careers, see themselves as content creators. Like the music business is pretty much a media business now. So when you look at it like that, Spotify, everything out there is the media business. They're getting into original videos, content, and brands are underwriting tours, music videos, albums. Like American Express is cutting your check, not Capitol Records. Yeah. So, and you may never know that, but that's just the reality of it, right? So I see that as a part of what the culture is.
And you're not getting a music video made unless there's some Beats headphones in it or a
Oh my
speaker.
goodness! I mean, you know, they're trying to get more subtle with it, but still, like a lot of people don't know, American Express underwrote Taylor Swift's whole rollout of 1989. Like they paid for her tour, her music videos, the release of her album, and everything. You don't see American Express on anything.
They're getting smarter. You know?
So, but what I would say to that though is I think it's also our responsibility as people who live the culture to show there's more value to our culture than the music. Like, I think a lot of times the disservice comes when we don't talk about how an album changes an industry or how a song speaks to something different about the culture that nobody's talked about, or how like the stories behind these labels and like I just feel like the perspective we have as people who represent the culture as a whole, I think is very limited when I look at the media as a whole. I think like we don't have enough people who live the culture on Bloomberg talking about hip hop, or the Wall Street Journal, or Fortune, or Forbes, or any of those sites, like people who know both sides, who can talk about who can represent our culture as people who live it, and who speak the language or the lifestyle. Like, it has to be a balance, because if not, then the people in the corporate institutions, all these people in these places who don't necessarily live it, but they have the access to talk about it, they have the resources to talk about it, the audience, that's gonna become what the global perceptive value of hip hop as a culture is.